ಹಾಯ್ ಫ್ರೆಂಡ್ಸ್, ಸಾಧನೆಯ ದಾರಿ ಯೂಟ್ಯೂಬ್ ಚಾನಲ್ಗೆ ಸ್ವಾಗತ. ಸೊ ನಾನು ಈ ಚಾನಲ್ ಮುಖಾಂತರ ICSE 2024-25 ಏನು 10th ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡರ್ಡ್ ಹಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿ ಸಿಲೆಬಸ್ ಇದೆ ಅದನ್ನು ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಲೈನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ ಚಾಪ್ಟರ್ ವೈಸ್ ಆ್ಯಕ್ಚುಲಿ. ಸೊ ಐ ಹೋಪ್ ಈ ವಿಡಿಯೋ ICSE ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್ಗೆ ಬೆನಿಫಿಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಅಂದ್ಕೊಳ್ತೀನಿ. ಸೊ ಇನ್ ಮೈ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ವಿಡಿಯೋ I explained about first war of Indian independence. So we discussed about the causes, especially I explained about the political causes for the first war of independence. So now today in this video I am going to explain about socio-religious causes. So socio-religious causes means interference of the Britishers in the social and religious life of the Indians, that we are calling it as the socio-religious causes. So in that socio-religious causes we are going to discuss about nearly 9 different socio-religious matters that has become important causes to the rise of first war of independence. So in that, first one is about interference with the social customs. So what about that interference with the social customs means British people aimed at improving the conditions of the people here. So how they aim to improve the conditions of the people in our country means they has introduced some of the reforms in the part of the Indian society. So what about that reforms means they introduced the abolition of Sati Act in the year of 1829 and the introduction of the Widows Remarriage Act in the year 1856, and also that Britishers started to open Western education to the girls. So these all are one of the reforms taken by the British people to improve the Indian society on that time. But our Indian people, how they felt against the policies, against the reforms introduced in our Indian society by the Britishers means they are going to abolish their customs, social beliefs and the religious customs here. That's why it has become another one of the important causes. So second one is about apprehensions about modern innovations. So what about that apprehension about the modern innovation means like that social reforms that Britishers introduced some of the modern innovations in our country. For example, they introduced railways and they introduced telegraph system. So how that Indian people thought about that introduction of the railways and telegraph system means that Orthodox Indians started to felt like that they are going to abolish the social belief like that. Why they felt like this means in the part of that railway compartments that British people made that higher caste and the lower caste to sit together. So what about the traditional belief of that our Indian society on that time means they are treated that higher caste people as one of the higher position and all, that lower caste people belongs to lower division, or they are going to completely neglected in the part of the Indian society. That's why Orthodox Indians started to oppose the concept of that introduction of the modern innovations. So next one is about that policy of racial discrimination. So what about that policy of racial discrimination means that British officers, this is one of the discrimination between that British officers and the Indian people here. So on that time British people were very rude and arrogant towards the Indian people. So they were considered they are one of the superior to the Indians and they are going to follow some of the policies means which has implemented by the British people. They are going to impose it on the Indians and that's why this has considered it as one of the racial discrimination. So racial discrimination means this is between the British officers and the common Indians here. So they behave or they shown one of the cruelty on the Indian people on that time. That's why most commonly when that Indians were started to ill treated and insulted by the British people, so on that time they has raised the revolt against the Britishers. So it also has become another one of the important causes. So next one is about that corruption in administration. So most commonly British officers were appointed by the Britain crown on that time. So that British officials were completely corrupted on that time. So which kind of the policy, which kind of the judicial system followed on that time means if that British officials going to commit in the part of the corruption means they were not punished by the Britain government, but our common persons, our common Indians was going to do some of the mistakes means they are going to treat them very badly. So this also consider it as one of the corruption in the part of the administration, and it has become another one of the causes to the revolt. So next one is about that oppression of the poor. So what about that oppression of the poor means? This is one of the another kind of the discrimination. How it is means rich and the poor. So when they started to impose that land revenues and all, when they started to impose that rent to the different areas and all, so interest on the debit, interest on the debt means interest on the loans, and also totally these all caused to put our Indian people on the completely the economic illness. So completely our Indians have started by the decreasing the position of the economical condition of the Indians here. That's why most commonly it causes to rise the poverty in our country. So most Indian people started to rise the revolt. It has become another one of the causes here. So next one is about that activities of missionaries. So in 18th century that British showed friendly attitude towards the Indian religions. So they has acted like the trustees of some of the Hindu temples and all. They contributed to the development of the religious places of the Hindus or the Indians on that time. But in the time of that 19th century, how that Britishers changed their attitude towards the Hindus or the Indians religious belief of the Indians means completely they started to interfere in the part of the local religious beliefs or the social customs here. So they announced that that idol worshipping and some of the local beliefs are one of the blind belief. They are completely useless like that. That's why after that, after the time of 1813 especially, they allowed that Britishers allowed to the some of the Christian missionaries to enter our country, and it allowed them to establish some of the schools and some of the different association in our country. That's why how that Indian people thought about that missionaries means that the government, British government going to support for the missionaries, Christian missionaries, and it is one of the method, it is one of the policy they are going to introduce to convert the Indians to the Christianity or the some of the different religion like that. That's why it also has become another one of the causes. So next one is about that fear regarding Western education. So the Western system of education was introduced by the Britishers in our country. So especially they established one of the English class in the Calcutta Madrasa and all. So how that Indian people started to think about that introduction of the Western education in our country means it is one of the method, it is one of the way used by the British people to discourage the traditional Islamic and the Hindu studies like that. Means they are going to abolish our traditional system of the education like that felt by the Indian people. That's why they started to oppose that Western education system, and also that our Indian people didn't think about that this Western education system may promote that a scientific approach, some of the modern thinking, and also they didn't think about that. They didn't think about the uses and benefit of the Western education system in our country, but completely they think about that this is one of the way they are following to encourage our children to convert for the Christianity or the Christian religion like that. That's why it has become another one of the causes, socio-religious causes. So next one, taxing religious places. So taxing religious places means started to impose the tax amount to the religious places like that. So previously, as I told you, they are having one of the friendly attitude towards our Indian religious belief and the social customs, but afterwards they has changed their attitude towards the Indian society and the belief, social and the religious belief of the Indians here. So after that they started to impose that taxes on the temples and the mosques here. So it has previously that regions were ruled by the Indian rulers. They didn't collect the taxes from the religious places, but when that Britishers ruling over the region, they have started to collect the taxes for the religious places, and also it hurt the belief of the Indian people, and it causes to arise the revolt against the British people. So next one, last socio-religious causes means law of property. So what about that law of property means the social as the Religious Disabilities Act of 1850 has changed the Hindu law of property. How it has changed one of the Hindu law of property means it has enabled that Hindus to convert from Hinduism to some of the other different religion to get the property of his father. ಅಂತ ಅಂದರೆ ಇವಾಗ ಅವರ ಫಾದರ್ ಇಫ್ ದೇ ಆರ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಗೆಟ್ ದ ಪ್ರಾಪರ್ಟೀಸ್ ಆಫ್ ದ father means they are unable to convert from Hinduism to some other different religion means they were allowed to convert, they were allowed to change their religion from one religion to another religion, or from father religion to some other religion to get the property of his father, like that. So this is also became another one of the important causes, socio-religious causes, to rise the battle of rise the revolt of the first war of independence by the Indian people here. So till here we discussed some of the 9 important causes that belongs to the socio-religious causes to the first war of independence. So ಐ ಹೋಪ್ ಈ ಟಾಪಿಕ್ ನಿಮಗೆಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಆಗಿ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗಿದೆ ಮತ್ತು ಇಷ್ಟ ಆಗಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಅಂದ್ಕೊಳ್ತಾ, ಕೈಂಡ್ಲಿ ಸಬ್ಸ್ಕ್ರೈಬ್ ಮೈ ಚಾನಲ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಶೇರ್ ದಿಸ್ ವಿಡಿಯೋ ಟು ಯುವರ್ ಫ್ರೆಂಡ್ಸ್. ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ಫಾರ್ ವಾಚಿಂಗ್.